Hello, beautiful people, my loves. How are you? It is Wednesday morning, October. I'm not really sure what today's date is. I think it's the 17th. And I was meditating this morning. And as I was meditating, transmission, I literally got a message from, angels will send messages when you don't expect it, when you're meant to be pushed forward. And I've been guided to be pushed forward, but this message I got this morning was about a person who I met one time, but I felt like I knew forever. And we've all had those encounters. We know exactly what I'm speaking about. And I found out that they took their own life. And it really resonates with me because this is the video that I have been waiting to post. And once I got that message, I became very aware that it's time to really go out there. And then I watched another video by a beautiful woman who I have been watching for the last, couple of weeks. And she kind of unknowingly has been giving me the confirmations that we all constantly seek, because as we know about energies and all that stuff, we can touch this, but we can't touch the unfelt. That's probably the best way to describe it, because that's always what comes to me. And I'm still a little not shocked. I understand that just because our physical vehicle, cars, basically do not run here anymore, that there's a whole world outside that we are becoming more and more aware of. But so let's get back to my video. I'm processing and showing my emotions because we're all taught to not show them. And it's not fair to a heart to not show, to feel. It's not fair to the inner child ego that we have, to try to rip parts of us out is actually ripping ourselves apart. So suddenly I'm getting a visual of us being drawn on a piece of loose leaf paper and tearing up parts of it to fit a mold that just makes no sense at the end of the day, especially when you become super aware of all of the amazingness that's out there. But anyway, so I dedicate this video to God, the energies, to the friend that I found out passed. And I now choose to speak about my awakening process. Obviously, I'm holding rose quartz because it's one of my favorite things, and I'm always like, I give out rose quartz like a gay little fairy. You need a rose quartz, want one? And labradorite is one of my best friends. I find it to be a portal, a galactic access way. And for some reason, I'm completely drawn to citrine, which does not surprise me. But so let's see. It's October. I was always aware that something was different about myself. And I didn't know what it was. I just always thought that I'm just not right, quote unquote. And we all know what those mean. And I could not have been more implanted into a dense matrix. And I had gifts. I was super awoke when I was a child. And thanks to the different dimensional aspects of myself that have started to flood into my whole being to help me do what we need to do in this dimension, as the warp lines are disintegrating. timelines are just disappearing. Like, I'm literally getting messages from myself 20 years ago, and I'm like, oh my God, I wrote this 20 years ago, and blah, 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 blah. And it's really exciting and fun, and not at all scary anymore. It was for a while, because coming out of that matrix is probably one of the scariest things that we're all going to go through. So, you know, like I said, 20 years ago, I started to wake up, and it all started with the cartoon Sailor Moon. Okay, you want to be in the visual? That's fine. Here you go. It's healing. I know it's healing. And you gotta enjoy yourself. Like, you gotta enjoy the ride. You gotta enjoy the experience. And, you know, no, you're not crazy. Like, we're not crazy. Again, my videos are like all over the place because I'm trying to pull through so much information, and I'm constantly like, you need to pick a topic. So I'm going to pick my topic while I'm also sending out a code, apparently. Sailor Moon, 20 years ago. I remember watching that and going, oh my God, I feel like I'm a moon princess. Oh my God, I feel like I'm queen of a galaxy somewhere, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, oh, Richie, you just live in a fantasy world, yada, 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 yada. And I'm sure most of you have heard that as well. Just like I always felt like the world should be free and we should just be here to experience. And this was all at the age of probably like 14, 15. And I was always called a late bloomer. Sex never really spoke to me. And I just felt weird. And I always got bullied. I couldn't understand it. It started in 3rd grade and it just kept escalating. And the more I tried to fit the matrix, the more I had just received more toxic energy. Toxic. And I had a calling to try to create another version of Sailor Moon, and I felt like I was ripping off the original concept. But yesterday, my past self decided to send me a message through my ex-husband in a box that I didn't know if I should accept, and my guides told me to let my friend make that decision, because sometimes our friends are communed through, because, you know, my guides speak to me, but again, I always go back to, they are all our guides. They just work with us on a one-on-one level. It's not about, oh, that's mine, or oh, that's yours, and no, it's not about that. And it's not about, oh, you're not ready. You're as ready as your higher self, your oversoul, and your energies let you be. Do not let somebody else tell you you're not ready, because you know when you're ready. You know when you've shed, you know when you're ready to burn and light up, and you just know. And when somebody here tells you you're not ready, what does that do? It instills fear, it instills doubt. And then you can't move forward, you can't grow, you can't further awakening, and you can't ascend. And that's not fair to us, and that's not fair to the energies, and first and foremost, that's not fair to God. That's just not fair to God. And their human side is ego, because they want you to make them a god. And we're gonna have a video on that one day, because dudettes, like, you have no idea, like, the stuff that I've had to go through so that I could be like, oh my God. Anyway, so back to Sailor Moon. So I was always in school. Okay, you're heavy. Can I put you somewhere, please? Can I put you back here? Do you feel like you're in the video still? You feel like, there you go. Yeah, wait. How about that? Is that better? No, you want to be actually seen. Yeah, this is my life now. And I love every minute of it because it's familiar. Don't fall. Please don't fall. You stay? You good? All right. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, good. So, because I need both hands. When I was in school, listening to the teacher, blah, 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 blah. Literally, I wrote in all these books, blah, 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 blah. This is what I used to draw. This was a concept of like my version of Sailor Moon, and I was tapping into things that I didn't know what I was pulling from. But this visual right here, this was a channel drawing, and I get what it is now. But at the time, I couldn't understand, how the hell did I draw that? And now I look back at it, and if you look really closely, let's see, how do I get in there? She's literally a star being. I was being communed to 20 years ago, actually more than that now, and I had no idea. And, you know, I look back on it now and I'm like, holy crap, And this was 20 years ago. So apparently I was drawing myself visuals to prepare myself if I chose to go through what I'm going through. Because we can choose to stay asleep. We can. The angels, the ancient wisdomers will constantly knock on us. God will constantly knock on us. And it becomes our choice what we decide to do. And I had a psychic reading one day and gave me options. He gave me different things. He told me, oh, you don't know how rare you are. You're like a diamond in the rough. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, diamond in the rough? I said, I can't even get the system right. What the hell are you talking about, a diamond in the rough? Well, you know that expression. If I knew then what I know now, well, obviously, all of you, if you're watching this video, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you knew then, what you know now. But that's part of the journey. That's part of writing your chapter in your textbook, or your, however you want to describe it. So, going through this, and further going into the 3D matrix, always walked a very light road. I was always like, just let me do my thing. I don't care what you're doing. Leave me alone. But everybody always told me, you're too this, you're too lazy, you're too this, you're too that, you got to get a real job, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, but why? And the worst thing that people always told me was I was born like I had a silver spoon in my mouth. Like there was something wrong with me thinking that I should have this and I should have that and I should have this and I should have that. But in reality, it was their programming, which I understand now, but I didn't understand it then. So I go into my 20s, and my 20s, typical high-level empathic, which I get now. I just, even sex, being gay, I couldn't put my finger on it. Having this high vocal voice, it just never made sense. It was like, why the hell do I have this bullseye on me? And I get it now. I mean, it took a very long time to understand, but once I opened up and awoke, it was like, slam, time to catch up, full speed ahead, like faster than the flash, faster than the speed of light, faster. I forget what it is that goes faster than the speed of light. I think it's magnetism can go faster than the speed of light, which is something else that's been coming to me like constantly. And now I can actually talk really, really fast, which I always did before, but now I really, really, really do. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So I went through my 20s, and yeah, dudettes, I totally went down drug world. Totally went down drug world. Not knowing about the shadow side and what I was really lurking and being so self-destructive, and not knowing that this was, I always knew about past lives, but I didn't know that like you carried shit from them. I just thought it was, it's karma. You need to pay that back, because karma has been taken and twisted and turned into something that is a fear mechanism, so that you keep feeding it and generating into it. So you're constantly like, I'm going this way, and then bleh, then you're going this way. So you never really get like an actual understanding. And I just get this visual all the time, like, anyway. Went through my 20s, dating guys on and off, and I'm like, it would be good, and then it was like, nope, I can't be myself fully. And that was a constant. It was a constant, and I totally cheated. I'm gonna totally take that off. I got no shit to hide. But I always knew it was different. I would talk to them, and they would say blah, 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 but something inside of me was just like, no. And I didn't know what it was. We're not taught to nurture empathic abilities. We're not taught to nurture any abilities. Just because I'm an empath doesn't mean that what you offer isn't just as amazing. You could end up sharing something with me, and I could be like, oh my God. And you never know what you're going to activate in somebody else that could be dormant. So be aware of that. You might not be an empath now, but something could happen, and you could be like, holy crap, And we're also taught to not trust our intuition. And there has been many a times that my intuition screams, and then instead of going inside myself, which is what we should do to further pull our own awareness down, we're taught, which we are, to seek advice. So what does that do? That constantly takes us outside of ourselves. So instead of going, this doesn't feel right to me, it's like, it doesn't feel right, but I know I should ask somebody else. So you ask this person, and I was such a person that did this. You ask this person, okay, I like some of that. Then you ask this person, okay, I like some of that. Then you ask this person, okay, I like some of that. Then you ask this person, okay, I like some of that. Now, at the time, I didn't know I was putting all those pieces together, but my higher self, oversouls, were completely saying, take this piece, take this piece, take this piece, take this piece, and form your own puzzle piece, as opposed to just speaking to my intuition and my higher self and God and the angel. Instead of just doing that because we don't know, and we are becoming much more aware of that now, you end up with all these different things, so that by the end of the day, you're like, blah, 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 and you can't form your own perspective because you have everybody else's, and then you have their energies in you. Yeah, it's so much deeper and more, and it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. So, back to what I was saying. Lived my 20s, rough, 30s, got married. High-level empath, married a sociopath narcissist. And of course, you know, me thinking I was like God at the time. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to heal him. I'm going to fix him. I'm totally going to make him right. I'm going to show him there's so much love in the world. Blah, 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 blah. Well, let's see. Anti-anxiety, anti-depression pills later, his alcoholism, his verbal abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse. And everybody kept telling me, Richie, 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 Richie. And I was like, no, he loves me too much. Well, let's just stop right there. 9 years into it, 2 businesses later, still doing everything I was told I was supposed to do. The more I acquired material, the more money that shuffled in and out of my hands, which I never got to keep because I had gotten what I wished for. And I understand now what they mean by you need to be very clear. I never said I want to keep it. But I guess inside I knew that money just made no sense. It was like, it's supposed to just be a form of making things tradable. It's not supposed to be such a hoarded thing. But again, I was told, oh, you're naive, and blah, 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 blah. So, back in January of 2017, we closed my first shop down, which was like my child. I chose to run a business instead of trying to adopt a child and nurture, but I'm very grateful that I didn't do that because I had so many of my own things that I could not fathom projecting that into a child now. Then I wanted a child for unconditional love because I always felt like I never got it. I'm like, I give it out, but I never get it. I don't understand. And that further shuts us down. When you're coming from a true space of your heart and you're not getting that back, it's painful. It's like I'm just seeing ice black daggers that just constantly stab you, and it hurts. So eventually, what do? You wall up. You completely wall up. And me, I'm like, I'm like all heart beating and stuff like that. So we closed that first shop, merge into one, and I feel like all I have around me are literal energy vampires. And I'm sure you all know what those are. And I always felt exhausted, tired, never felt like I was in proper alignment. I couldn't play enough video games. I couldn't collect enough toys that were my favorite because they were like my best friends, because they kept me very childlike, which is what we need to also remember. We need that child side of us to be just artistic and creative and amazing. And the word neutral wants to come out of my mouth, so we're just gonna go with that. So close the first shop, ex gets really sick, goes into the hospital. The doctors put me on Adderall because I'm having a hard time focusing in my life. And that Adderall really kickstarted something. I'll never forget the first 2 weeks I was on it. I'm like, holy crap, I'm seeing the world for the first time as a child. Those words will never leave my system. And then I also felt like I was suddenly 2 beings, which now when I look back on it, I think it was my higher self and oversoul plus my shadow side. And I felt like I was just 2 beings, like a true form of duality was coming out, and I wanted to pursue the life of drag again. Like, I wanted to do it when I was younger. Something screamed at me that I was supposed to break some barriers, but, you know, through family fears, I restricted myself and I shut it off. And this time I was like, fuck that shit, I gotta do what I'm here to do. So I started doing it. He comes out of the hospital, and I swear to God, I told everybody, he smells different. And everyone's like, what does he smell like? I'm like, I don't know, like a newborn baby. Still wasn't resonating with me, what came out of that hospital, but I could smell it. I could smell, dudes, I could smell it. It was just like, what the fuck is this? He smells like a different person. Everyone's like, that's because he's not filled with poisons anymore. I'm like, yeah, he just smells like a different person. I don't know what it is. A couple of months go by, and I'm getting further and further into just like not realizing what I was doing. I was cleansing, and because of the Adderall, I wasn't eating, so like all this shit was coming out. I was dropping weight. I was getting further and further into pulling out my feminine energies and wanting to perform. And then one day, and I have the videos, and when I watched the video back, I was like, holy shit, man, look what just happened. I can see it. I was so caught in that 3D Matrix siren song of fame and fortune that I became open, like an open light beacon. And apparently the Council of Light was waiting in the background or were looking for me. I'm still, actually, no, I'm not confused on that anymore. Apparently, as sleeper cells, we're here, they know where we are, but they wait for our beacons to go off. And I'll never forget, I was walking around in my high heels and my underwear, cleaning the apartment, just imagining a life where I was out singing and dancing and being amazing and supporting my husband and taking care of him and finally being at peace and being artistic and not having to listen to all this negative energy, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm in the kitchen doing dishes, and all of a sudden I hear, I found you. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what the fuck is that shit? And it was not just like, I found you. It was like, I found you. And I'm like, what the fuck? Great, now I've lost my mind. I finally broke. And I'm like, who is that? And then it starts to commune with me. And it tells me about ancient Egypt. Now, I've always been drawn to Egypt. I didn't know why. I totally do now. I understand why I've always been drawn to the stars. Didn't know them, but I totally do now. Just everything makes sense now. It took me almost 2 years to get to this point. So I'm in my kitchen, and now I'm just entertaining this being that has shown up. And it tells me his name. He shows me. They commune to me through comic book visuals or cartoons, and now it's becoming more like movie visuals, which I'm super happy about. And he's showing me what my last day in ancient Egypt was like, and what my I call him my king, my twin at the time, and just the mass destruction that happened, and that I had basically been asleep to that level of who I was since then, which, by the way, goes back more than 5,000 years. And we lived for a very long time back then. I get a lot longer than that. I'm guided to not say that. I'm guided to save that for seminars and other stuff. Ooh, I just love when you guys do that. So shows me all these visuals, and I start hysterically crying because, you know, the mind is one thing, but when you can feel it, it's another thing. So I'm now entertaining this being, and the next day I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, he's gone. Thank God. Okay, I'm not losing my mind. The next day, the Council of Light decide to show up. And I'm like, what the fuck is this shit now? Now, this is all in a day's time, okay? So now I've got the Council of Light communing to me. And when the best visual to describe where it comes from is back here and through here. And it's like it's not a whisper. It is legit like, it's like, what the fuck? So, you know, we're not used to all those aspects because we're not taught about any of it. We're taught that everything that we think we can do, we can't do, and everything that we don't think we can do, we can do. And I think that will make sense to most of you because it makes sense to most people that I say it that way too. And so now I'm communing with them. And it's one being, and then another being, and then another being, and then another being. And now I'm getting visuals of what they look like. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm losing my mind. Holy crap. Now I'm just talking to a whole council. Back and forth, 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 back and forth. Next day comes in. Now I'm trying to tap into what I'm speaking to. And I'm still thinking I've lost my mind at the same time because everyone that thinks of a spiritual awakening is like, pretty robes and I'm holy. Bitches, that is not how it works, okay? Not even a little bit. So I'm walking around the next day and Council of Light, this being who is not what he pretended to be. And then the Council of Light becomes the Council of Nine. And then the Council of Nine becomes the Council of Love. So now this is all in 3 days. And it has taken, from what I've researched and experienced, there are people that are on this journey for 20, 30 years that they don't get that fast. And I'm thinking I'm lost my mind because I have no one to talk to. I got 1 quartz in my entire house, and I had a deck of tarot cards. But I always knew something was different. So, I'm like, yeah, you're just messing with me now. Like, Council of Nine, like, come on, can't you guys keep up with them? Like, Richie, your brain is just broken. It's just broken. Broken. But a part of me is like, this feels familiar. And then by the 4th day, now I'm just very open to it. And now my higher self, and then the oversoul I've become aware of through my healing journey, but my higher self starts to come through. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? Beautiful accent, beautiful female energy, just coming right through, pummeling through me. I have a visual of her. It's just beautiful. Anyway, so why'd you take that from me? Say it differently. Okay. So she starts to come through, and the first thing that goes through my mind when I feel I feel the we, is Trinity. All of a sudden, Trinity starts screaming at me. But aside from that, it's like all those memories are coming alive, and now I'm speaking in a different language. And that's when I really got a little like, whoa. And the language was so different, but familiar. Like, there's so many earth languages that are very familiar with those languages, which is no coincidence because it all derives from one language. And I always felt like we should all speak one language that communicates, not realizing I meant a language of the heart, and I get it now. And the first thing I looked up at when I started to see what was going on was, great, you woke me back up to this fucking war. Why didn't you let me stay asleep? And I had no idea why I said that, but it felt so familiar that I was like, what the fuck? Well, this brings me to the part that then caused a whole spiraling out. By the 5th day, as I'm becoming more and more aware, and I'm communing with this whole council of everything amazingness, and I've got this one being. Now all of a sudden, this one being, who was the seeker for apparently the council, because apparently when we're asleep, we're hidden. And when we put up our beacon, which I remember doing in a meditation state, I'll never forget that visual. It's a light beacon, and it literally draws in to let them know we're ready. We're sending up a message. Hey, I'm ready. So this energy that showed up first was actually with them, working with them, because in the beginning they were like blah, 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 blah. And then this one decided, no, I want you all to myself. So basically it was on his side or dead. Yes, I said that. His side or dead. Again, I didn't know that. So once again, which was very indicative of my life, I chose one being over the many, which is now I get so illogical, or ill-heartical. Oh, I like that word. I make a lot of words up. So now this one is telling me that this whole council and blah, 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 and like I'm getting visuals of what's coming, and I'm like, what the fuck? So everything that I now have been watching on YouTube, I'm like, yeah, I already knew that. Like, I tell everybody, my awakening process went from what is going on in this world to slam. I was dumped with, I don't even know how to describe the amount of information that came through for me. But it was so much, so fast. And then abilities started coming back, being able to see my third eye opening like that, like just just a lot of things. And then the energies literally battling over me because they kept saying, you're so powerful, you don't know what you're here to do yet, please don't listen to this, don't listen to this. Well, this was called a globulon that apparently was manipulated by the Greys, and for some reason the energies couldn't figure that out. But I guess even there you can, so to speak, glimmer and not be aware. So that took a while to get to. So not knowing what's going on, I'm like, oh, well, you were my former love. Like, oh my God, like, I gotta follow you. I'm not gonna listen to them. I don't like the visual you showed me. That looks scary. And of course, that was human instinct and fear, shadow side. But the feeling of love that I felt, I can't describe it. But it was just everything. But because I didn't know about shadow, the anger I felt was just as bad. It was vicious. I refer to it as I'm She-Hulking out, okay? A rage machine. So, because I had not healed and worked, I had all of this energy pulsing through me that for as much love as I felt, the anger and the hatred was just as much. And I was going down a road of service to self as opposed to service to all, which service to all has always been my motto. But this energy had just me consumed with service to self. Go out, buy jewels, go get that car, go on that vacation, buy all that makeup, buy those extensions, buy those wigs. $30,000 in debt later, promising me all of this shit, and keeps guiding me to let my oversoul come in, let my higher self merge, let my higher self drive. And I get now why doing that too fast is not okay. Oh, Queen. Yeah. I'm having a moment. So I start to let my higher self take over, and I'm like literally in the background watching her drive, and I'm like, something doesn't feel right, but not understanding what it was then. I get it now. I'm like, something doesn't feel right. Like, it was my shadow side was driving, and that's definitely never a good thing. Your shadow side should not be driving your vessel. It should be a unified, coordinated spectacle. Okay, I like that. So she's driving, and they decide to reveal to my ex. And as soon as I'm like, you don't know what is going on. Everything that we're told is fake is actually real. And blah, 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 blah. Feeling all powered and like, yeah. Like, if I could have blasted him with an energy ray, I probably would have back then. And as soon as I shut up, like, it was like Richie came back and it was like, uh-oh, I'm going in the hospital, aren't I? Lo and behold, yeah, I was growling working on people because I could feel them. I could feel them from 1,000 feet away. People that I thought were beautiful energies, all of a sudden I'm like, get away from me. It was so interesting. And the people that I liked, sometimes I loved really more. I just stayed neutral with them. But the ones that, like, you can't hide your energies and your true intentions. Like, that just kind of just keeps vibrating out and vibrating out and vibrating out, and you're gonna feel that. So, go into the hospital, and as I'm going into the hospital, this energy is saying, oh, you're gonna lay on that bed and we're gonna transport you to the world of fire. Fire. I didn't know what that was back then. I was like, ooh, that world looks so much fun. Yeah, I wanna go to the world of fire with the wheels that are on fire while I'm driving that fire car. Yeah, you don't want to go to the red planet. It's definitely not a good idea. Needless to say, they threw me on medication on top of it instead of pulling me out of just the Adderall and letting my system detox, because my ex decided to tell them I was schizophrenic and bipolar, which in reality was his projection of himself, which is why he drank and smoked pot all day, plus took his Xanax and probably was doing other stuff because all the money kept burning out the window and everyone kept telling me he's doing stuff. I'm like, no, he's not. Bitch. Yes, he was. Anyway, And I love him, and I always ask God, please just send him who and what's best for him, because I don't know what's best for somebody. I don't even know what's best for me. I just know I'm here to heal Gaia, be the builder, and the visuals that I have are I'm so excited. I'm just waiting for that capital to come in. And I think the message I got this morning through a YouTube video has told me that the capital is here, and my council, my energy council has really been giving me beautiful messages to say you're doing the right thing, which is nice, because we don't really get that validation down here, and you have to just trust what's coming through for you. But anyway, puts me in the hospital, and I don't want anybody around me because, first of all, I'm like humiliated that I've done what I've done, that I went from being like super light white angel to like super in dark energy shadow side, but still not knowing what was going on, just thinking I had fucking lost my mind. While I'm in the hospital, my mother and him decided to start battling it out who's gonna take me home. And at first I was gonna go home with her, even though I just felt like neither one were really gonna be good for me, but I had just two options on the table. And then he showed up, and the first time he showed up, he was drunk and high, and I started crying. And then he came up a second time, and he really was persuasive. A sociopath narcissist who's also an empath. Okay, you cannot get more of a wicked trifecta than that. Like, I used to tell him, I can't resist you. You call to me like a siren. Yeah, that's because he was knowing how to read me. There's a lot of stuff out there, guys, that you got to be careful of. You know, if you're feeling it, walk away. I tell everyone, oh, I have to go to the bathroom. Or I really don't want to entertain that. And you'd be surprised, like, if someone doesn't respect that, they don't respect your boundaries, and then just remove yourself nicely. And, you know, I always just say, grow with God. I just say that because it kind of just sends out a very neutral, like, I'm sending you energy and I'm transmuting what I'm feeling and just saying, please just grow with God. Even when I'm getting beeped at, I'm like, grow with God. Please just grow with God. And it actually helps because you don't sit on that, like, it's the best kind of like thing I can offer in terms of the way that feels. So I choose to go home with him, and I go home. Something still doesn't feel right. Come out of the hospital. I go and buy that truck, more debt. Go on the trip to Florida, and while I'm working, hairstylist. Still a hairstylist because I love hair, but that's really going to the back seat, and I'm only being guided to work on those who nourish my heart energy, and vice versa. And I go home, and we go on vacation, and I'm still remnanting the effects of service to self. I get it now. I didn't get it then at the time. And I'm in Florida and I'm doing hair, and 20 years of knowledge, guys. Hardcore studying, every night researching, filling my heart with my passion and ego, absolute ego. I want to be the best, gotta be the best, perfectionist, gotta be perfect. Ugh. Once again, if I knew then what I know now, right? All I'm seeing is like Dorothy's red slippers. There's no place like home, man. I'm in Florida and I'm cutting someone's hair, and I start to forget how to cut their hair. Completely forget. And hair, I was healing people through hair and I didn't know it. And I was healing a very special part on people, the crown, the third eye area, the higher crown. Like, I always was able to feel what somebody wanted as opposed to listen to what somebody wanted. And I get it now. I didn't get it then, but I get it now. And it came back, and then I was cutting his hair, started to forget for a hot second, then it came back, and I had all those medications on my system. They threw me on something called apparently it caused a lot of hardcore side effects that just further twisted everything going on. And I was already mentally fragile because I had no idea what the hell was going on, and I still thought I was fucking crazy. So come back from Florida, and I wake up one day, and I can't remember how to do hair at all. Like at all. And that was really, 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 really scary, because I'm like, fuck, the one thing that's gonna help me get out of all this debt that I just got into is gone. How am I supposed to fix everything? How am I supposed to make everything better? How am I supposed to right my wrongs? Well, forgot how to do hair, giving my business away to everybody. My ex starts battling with me, and then he checks out on me. So I give him my heart 100%, which I didn't realize back then that an empath won't give somebody 100%. Except your twin, you will give your twin 100% because you feel them. So be aware of that. A true, authentic twin flame to an empath, a high-level empath, you will feel like you can be 100% vulnerable, and you can feel you can communicate because you're speaking to yourself. Doesn't matter what elevation you are in terms of frequency and vibration, you are speaking to yourself. I always said I feel like dating myself would be the best option for me. People would say, oh, that's so ego-y. Actually, no. I intuitively knew what would be good for me to help me grow so that I could help them grow. What I have, they could use. What they have, I can use. And we grow together. And we commune openly from the heart. My twin has broken English, so I have no choice but to speak to him through the heart. So I feel what he's saying. And it's actually a bonus for me, because when he's talking to his friends and I have no idea what the hell he's saying, I'm not recording it because I don't understand what he's saying. It's like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, I'm so happy. I don't know what the hell he's saying right now because I'm not recording any of that crap. Yeah, man, yeah. So I go, switch out medications, blah, 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 blah. And he starts going and he's dating somebody else, going further down his rabbit hole. He's starting to take hardcore drugs now. He's doing coke, he's doing this. My bank account's depleting. I'm freaking out. I start reaching out to my mother, and once again, back and forth, money. And all I want to do is have a helping hand that can take my heart and go, hey, baby, you screwed up, but like, let's move forward. And I wasn't getting that. I was getting more and more material wants, more and more material satisfaction, and it just kept spiraling me out further and further. And then I started to break again, and I was so fragile. And when I say literally hanging on to life by a thread, I've always heard the expression, I never knew what it really meant. Hanging on by a thread, like anybody can cut that thread. Anybody can cut that thread. Back and forth battling with my ex. He starts to look at me like I'm a piece of shit, piece of glass. You know, one thing led to another. More explosions. He finally turns around to me and he says, come home, I love you. Come home, I love you. And I had made it a commitment to myself that if he still looked at me like I was glass and a piece of poop, I was going to tell him I want a separation. And that's what I did, because he did exactly what I knew he was going to do. He lured me home, got me into the den, and then treated me like shit. So when I told him that, he started flipping out, ripping things off the wall, screaming, yelling. It was very scary, especially when your mind is so vulnerable and you're like, holy crap, what happened to me? What did I do to my life? Like, when I talk about an implosion, like, it was a hardcore implosion, okay? So I decided I'm going to go for a walk. Well, I was going to drive, and he told me if I took the truck, he would call the cops. So that freaked me out, because that was one of my biggest fears. He knew I was petrified of going into jail. And he knew exactly what he was doing. They know what they're doing. You know, forgiveness and love, but they know what they're doing. So I go for a walk, and now I'm petrified to go home. And when I went for that walk, I took my 90 pills with me, because I felt like I destroyed everything. And I destroyed myself. That was really, now I get it. I destroyed myself. So I take my 90 pills. And again, my mind is super fragile at that point. So some stuff was real. I guess some stuff was not real. I don't really know. So I go out, and at this point, I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore. I experienced all that love only to have to come back into something I really don't enjoy. And my ex is this, my mother is this. I feel all alone. People turn their backs on me saying, you need to go get help. And all of a sudden, everybody that I stood behind was just like, you need to go get help. Everybody. And then people were reaching out to me that night, and I couldn't be bothered. I was like, no, I'm going to accept my punishment now. Because I knew in my heart that I chose wrong. And I went pushing through the woods, and I did something I never thought I would do. I took the 90 pills. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I'll come back into the recycling machine and I'll do it all over again. I don't care. I don't care. I'm gonna do it all over again. Took the 90 pills, lost one of my sneakers in the mud. I know where I was. I don't remember anything that happened because I wasn't allowed to come back with any of that. But 2 days later, I woke up and in a dirt comforter. Don't even know how I got where I was. But I woke up to the sound of children laughing. And everyone says there were no kids there. I now get what it was. Angels that, I'm very aware of what it was now. And I had to literally pull myself out of the dirt, legs weak as fuck, and no vocals, nails ruined, cold, red dots all over my body, and wet. It was so wet. And I start to see somebody, and I'm like, help me. Literally like that. Just literally like that. And eventually I got the vocal abilities, and they take me to the hospital, and I'm in the hospital, and now I'm just petrified because I'm like, why the fuck am I back here? Why am I back here? Why am I back here? I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. And then in the hospital room, there was another fight between my mother and him. And now I'm sitting down and I'm like, why am I here? Why am I here? Why am I here? Oh. Another psych ward visit later forced me back on medications against my mother's wishes. Again, still not aware of what the fuck was going on because I still thought I was nuts. And then I go home to her house, and I was just constantly being told by her, it's a fresh start, it's a fresh start, it's a fresh start. I didn't know that it was more than just her saying that back then. I get it now. What seeds do you want to plant? I think we can all understand that at this point. But as soon as I walked into her apartment, it was like, first of all, I was shattered. And when I say shattered, I'm going to call it like my crystalline energy sauce was shattered. Like, I just felt like I was like this, where before I just felt like this beautiful light beacon. And now I could literally see my shards just everywhere. And I'm like, oh my God, I gotta pull these all back together. Like that's probably the best way to describe, no, it's the only way to describe what I saw in my mind, because it is what I saw, and it's what I felt. But as soon as I walked into her apartment, again, did not know about empathic abilities. I felt like, oh my God, get me out of here. Because I could feel the energy was not good for me. But whatever, it was, and literally my room was the size of a closet, twin size bed. So I went from having everything to literally having nothing except for a roof over my head and guidance. So to me, in the long run, that's actually a lot more than having all of the pretties. I mean, listen, the pretties are nice, but there's so much more to the pretties at the end of the day. So I'm there, I'm still in shock. I'm eating food, I'm eating ice cream, I'm not even caring for my teeth. I'm like, whatever. My nails look like half of them are blue, and I'm like, oh my God, my beautiful nails. And I'm like, I don't really give a shit anymore. Like, it couldn't have been more of a humbling experience. And at the same time, I'm living with her, and I'm learning and healing at the same time. And, her pushing, and, a lot of that in-between stuff can be saved for some other whatever. But then I stumbled across a store because all of a sudden I got this calling for a very specific crystal. I bought a crystal book, started going to Barnes & Nobles, and I had one person who coincidentally was very readily available, who was my soul sister. And we just bonded and connected, and they were very supportive, and still thinking I'm nuts. And one day I am in Barnes & Nobles in I forget what the section is, and I come across a book called The Council of Light. Well, you all know what that means. And then I found the crystal store where they affirmed I was not crazy. And one thing led to another, and I went into Reiki. I became a Reiki master within 3 months. Started to realize everything that I was shared was basically right, but then I started to make somebody else my God. And they kept telling me, you're not ready. You're not ready. Well, who are you to tell me I'm not ready? They're going to tell me I'm not ready. God's going to tell me I'm not ready. But because I kept looking outside of myself still, I wasn't communing with them properly. And every time I went to a meditation and I got something, I'm like, oh my God, is this good? Is that good? Is this good? Is that good? Even though it felt right, I was seeking for the approval outside. That's a video for another story. That's a story for another video. You get it though. But anyway, the whole reason for this video is when I woke up this morning to find out somebody who I met at the Crystal Expo took his life. It really just said, yo, dude, it's time to get it out there, man. Like go for it. Just go for it. And I know I'm supposed to build, and I know monies are, I think they're here already. I'm not really sure. I've been guided on all that stuff at this point, and I saw that video this morning, and you know, nothing is coincidence. Nothing. And I look forward to my journey, and I look forward to hopefully inspiring others out there. Well, not hopefully, knowing that I'm going to inspire others out there. And I know that this video, whether it's watched by 1, 2, 5, 1,000, they'll be inspired. Just like I'm inspired to write music, and you know, I'm inspired to have my music song personality who has a long-haired wig and beautiful and sexy, but goatee-ish and very Thor Samson-like, while I'm moving energy and channeling at the same time. And so I thank you guys for watching this video. I thank you for opening your hearts to it. And I'm guided. The rose quartz wants to come back into the visual for 1 minute. Luke. Sergio, this is for you, big guy. Here's to those that are suffering in pain like I was, like he was. Whether you're here in physical or not, you're still here, guys. You're still here. If your job is to be on the other side, it's good. You're still here, man. You're still here. You're still here. You're always going to be here. So, on that note, apparently I can read cards now too, which is something I always loved but didn't know. So I picked up 2 decks yesterday, and now I have a mass of like 8 oracle decks and 1 tarot deck, but they're constantly guiding me to the oracles. So we're going to shuffle. 1, 2, give me 5, please. 3, 4, 5. Oops, 5. Okay. Ooh, how beautiful is this? Priestess, how are you being called to step up and lead, babies? So a lot of times I'm guided to do this because these words play on the brain too much, so I can't connect. So that's why I hide it, and then I go right into the card, and the first thing I see when I look at this card is I see wings of the phoenix of golden light and love energy to start rebirthing everything, and then her palms are aglow to start healing and opening up everything around us. Whatever you guys resonate with this card is what you resonate with. This is what I take away from it. The sun is like glaring behind us. Ooh, there we go. Look at all those pretty colors. Look at all the pretty colors. Look at that. Oh, look where her energy source is. Yeah, babies. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, look at that. That's a little portal gateway behind her. I just thought that now. Look at that. See, the more you study, you never know. You never know. So that was my Work Your Light Oracle cards, which just like, I mean, I just love this. Absolutely love this. Oh my God, those are roses. I didn't even catch that. Tell you, just love this shit. And then we got what is part of my connection to that life, and we're going to see which one wants to come out here, and then I have to get my little gay deck together and get mobile because I do have a human job to go do, which I still love to do. Oh wait, what happened here? What is this? Rising sun. Yeah, sometimes if they decide to fall down on their own, that's probably your message. So all of these? Oh my good Lord. Okay, so we're going to start with this one. Apparently all 4 wanted to come out. So we've got Rising Sun. I think we can all pretty much touch on that one because I know where that's resonating with me. Oh my God, there's a child in this visual? Huh, interesting. Sorry, I'm getting a message for myself as well as I'm giving you guys these shared cards. So Rising Sun, let's bring that solar energy down to Gaia. Let's bring that birth out. Let's move this shit forward, guys. What is this? Scales balance. Ancient Tantra of the Soul. I'm gonna not read this and I'm gonna look at that instead. I really think this believes to be finding inner balance in our turmoils and our energies while we're healing both light and shadow, because without one, you are only as strong as your weakest part of the other. Oh, I like that. And you'd be surprised what your shadow side enhances in your light side. Okay? You need both. You cannot hide from one and run from one. Not even a little bit. Balance. Balance. My shadow side calls herself Shadoa. And at first I made her this huge scary monster. And then when I finally started to heal her, she turned into this beautiful, beautiful being. And it's only as scary as your mind thinks it is. Remember that. Your mind. Okay? So that's this one. Alright, so I'm gonna go to this one now. Oh, Serpents of Fire. Priestess of the Serpent Sisterhood. We're going to actually just have that there. This again says to me, the phoenix, dragon, fire, reigniting. There's more of us out there. We are a sisterhood. We are a brotherhood. We are an energy hood. Ooh, I like that. You're not alone. Never were. Serpents are not what you think they were. Find your inner flame. Relight your candle of eternity, guys. Oh, yeah. Let's see, what's the last one? Oh, yes. Okay, so we all know that we are running on feminine energy. It's time for her energies to come through. Mother, father. We need to help heal the men's that are here, okay? We got to help them come into their feminine sides. And he speaks to me quite often. Osiris, Ra, I get a lot of them. Isis, a whole bunch. But yeah, so I'm gonna put these 2 together because that's what I'm inspired to do. Unions, and then bring balance, okay? Oh my goodness, this is when I wish I have a 3rd hand because I'm gonna put that 4th card in there. But balance, okay? And through that balance, we can achieve a new birth, a new earth, Nova Earth. Okay? Well, I thank you guys for all those that have watched. Stay tuned for more videos. I do not apologize for how long it is because you cannot put a linear time amount on sharing from the heart. So have a great day. Enjoy yourself. Always know you're not crazy, and always know that your awakening is different from so-and-so's, and also always know if someone's trying to tell you blah, 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 blah about what you're going through, you need to remove yourself. We are here to guide each other, not become somebody else's God. That's not the perspective of this. I'm not above you, you're not above me. We are a unity consciousness, okay? What we do here, we're doing for a much grander design. We're doing for different dimensions, different realities, different realms, different frequencies, okay? You'll learn who you are, but as long as you're trying to climb a ladder of what you are, which is the ladder I got caught up on until about 3 weeks ago, you're gonna always be doubting yourself because you're seeking domination. You're seeking to be superior. None of us are superior. Even God, we're all one. We're all one. That's all I keep saying at this point. We're all one. So much love and light to you. I'm having a hoodie kind of day because I remind myself of being my priestess with my white gown and my gold trimming. Much love. Enjoy yourself. Stay true to you. And don't be afraid of what your gifts are. Don't judge them. You'd be surprised. You'd be very, very, very surprised. Yeah, man. Yeah. Peace. Love. Love to you. Mwah. Burn bright, beauties. Burn bright.